Hi students, today we are moving on to the chapter life process. In this chapter we are going to discuss the various life processes that happened in our body and what are the significance of those life processes in our life. We know that movement is one of the characteristics of life, either related to growth or not. And how do we know that an organism is alive or not when it is asleep? And we know that by breathing. And likewise, how do we know that the plants are alive or not? Normally we know that if the plant is green, then we assume that it is alive. So the movement of the organism that enable us to understand that they are alive is visible to our eyes, naked eyes. But there are some of the movements which are invisible to our naked eye, such as movement of molecules. The movement of molecules in organism enables them to be alive. Is these invisible movements are necessary for life? Biologists say yes. In fact, viruses do not show any movement, but they are alive until they infect a cell. And that is why partly there is a controversy about whether they are truly alive or not. Why the molecular movements are needed for life? In previous classes, we have already learned that living organisms are well organized and they have cells, and cells are combined to form tissues, tissues are combined to form organs, organs are combined to form organ systems, and so on. So they are well organized for the proper functioning of the body. Because of the effects of the environment, this organized, ordered nature of the living organism likely to be break down over time. If the order break down, the organism will no longer be alive. So living creature must keep repairing their structures and their organs. Since all these structures are made up of molecules, they must move around in the body of the organism. Then what is the maintenance process in a living organism? And this maintenance process of a living organism, they are all together called the living process. The maintenance function of a living organism must go on even when they are not doing anything. Even when we are just sitting or even we are just lying down, then the maintenance process are keep on taking place. These maintenance process all together perform this maintenance of a living organism is called the life process. And what are the significance of this maintenance process? Maintenance process are needed to prevent the damage or breakdown of the structures of the living organisms. And in order to take place the maintenance process, energy is required. And this energy is coming from the outside the body of the organism. Then how does a body attain the energy from outside? They are by the food they take. They get energy from the food they take. The attaining food is commonly we called as nutrition. And the nutrition process then supports the living organism for their growth and development and the maintenance process. The outside sources of energy may be quite varied. Mainly these food particles or the food consists of carbon-based molecules. And these molecules may be needed to break down into simpler molecules so that it can be convert into energy. And this breakdown process again required energy, and various methods or various organisms adopt various methods to break down the molecules into a usable form to convert as energy, and then this energy can be used for the maintenance and the growth of the living organism. And mainly, and during this breakdown and the process, nutrition process, a series of chemical reactions take place inside the body of the organism, like oxidation and reduction processes are taking place. These are some of the common chemical reactions that take place during this process. Many organisms uses oxygen and use it in the process of breaking down of food particles into the simpler molecules, and they used by the cells, then the process we commonly called as respiration. In the case of single cell organism, there are no specific organs for the entire maintenance and the process, life process. Since a single cell organism or unicellular organism made of a single cell, and every life process, all the life process take place inside that single cell. But in complex organism, they form various organs and organ systems to carry out these various life processes in their body, like nutrition, respiration, excretion, and all. Complex organism, they are multicellular organism. They are made of a large number of cells. So these cells are combined together to form tissues. Tissues are combined together to form organs. Organs are combined together to form organ systems, and the body system made. And this body system, organ systems and body system together, when they work together, and the organism is to be alive. Then, as we said, a series of chemical reactions take place inside the body of a complex organism or a living organism. And during these all processes or chemical reactions, they produce a lot of wastes. And these wastes are poisonous and toxic substances in it. Then, these substances cannot be stored inside the body because they are toxic substances and poisonous. They need to be removed from the body, or they need to be get rid of the body. Then for that purpose, another system is there in the complex organisms, and they are known as, the system is known as excretory system. The main function of excretory system is to remove the waste products that formed during the life process in a living organism. Here in this chapter, we are going to discuss some of the life process in detail, and among them, the first one we are going to discuss is the nutrition. As I said before, nutrition process is the intake of food, and this food is taken inside the body. In complex organisms, specialized structures are there to take in the food, but in unicellular organism, no specialized organs are there to take the food in. Then this food, once they get into the body of the organism, and this food that get into the body then utilized to convert as energy, and this energy is then used to for the life process, like maintenance, repair, growth, and development of the living organism. Then how do the organism get their food? Most of the organisms are attaining their food from their surrounding by means of inorganic sources of or inorganic molecules. There are two kinds of nutrition there. There are some organisms, they can synthesize their own food from the simple raw materials like water, minerals, sunlight and carbon dioxide, and they synthesize their food and store the energy in their cells. Generally, green plants are able to synthesize their own food, and therefore they are called as autotrophs. Auto means self, troph nutrition. Energy molecules or ATP energy is stored in the form of ATP molecules, adenine triphosphate molecules, in their cells. And another kind of nutrition, that is heterotrophic nutrition. The organism, they depend autotrophs for their food, and they are called heterotrophs, and this kind of nutrition is called as heterotrophic nutrition. All the other animals and plants except green plants are following the heterotrophic nutrition. So the energy molecules, the autotrophs stored in their bodies or cells, have to be break down into the simpler molecules. Then only it can be converted into energy, converted as energy by the other organisms like heterotrophs. And in order to break down these complex molecules, the organism, they use biocatalyst called enzymes. Then they can convert them as energy. Autotrophs can synthesize their own food from the simple raw materials, and this process is known as photosynthesis. Why does a green plant only able to synthesize their own food? Because a green plant is only consists of chlorophyll, a green pigment in it, and this green pigment only can convert the sunlight into energy. So, and also the green plant uses carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and water, minerals from the soil, and sunlight in the presence of carbon dioxide. They synthesize their own food, and then they store in their cells. The food that, or the energy molecules that synthesized by the autotrophs mainly consist of, mainly in the form of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates provide energy. Let us see what exactly happens in the process of photosynthesis. 6 carbon dioxide molecules combine with 12 water molecules in the presence of chlorophyll and sunlight to produce the glucose molecule, plus 6 oxygen molecules and 6 water molecules. This chlorophyll is a green pigment, as I said before, which can only trap the energy from the sunlight. Main steps involved in the process of photosynthesis are: first is absorbing the energy from the sunlight. Next, conversion of the energy from the sunlight into chemical energy, and splitting of water molecule into hydrogen and oxygen. Then reduction of carbon dioxide into carbohydrates. These are the main steps involved in the process of photosynthesis. And each of these components are important for the process of photosynthesis. Let us see first. If we examine the leaf under a microscope, and we can see the dots on the surface of these leaves, and these dots are chloroplast, and this chloroplast consists of chlorophyll, that is a green pigment. This green pigment is necessary for the process of photosynthesis. We experimentally proved that chlorophyll is necessary for the photosynthesis in the lower classes. Carbon dioxide is necessary for the process of photosynthesis. And how does this carbon dioxide obtained by the organism. This gas is absorbed into the organism from its surrounding. And how does it enters into the body of an organism? This is carried out through the pores, that is under the leaves of the plant. So there is an opening under the leaves of the plants or the surface of the leaves of the plant, and through this opening the exchange of gases take place. We know that photosynthesis needs carbon dioxide and the releases oxygen into the atmosphere. So the intake of carbon dioxide and release of oxygen take place through this pores called stomata. And the opening and closing of this stomata is controlled by the guard cells. When the exchange of gases take place, and the guard cells will be swollen, and which leads to the opening of the stomata of the leaves. And this is how the exchange of gases take place in the plants during the photosynthesis. The next is heterotrophic nutrition. As I said before, when organisms depend directly or indirectly the autotrophs for their food, and this kind of nutrition is known as autotrophic nutrition, and those organisms are called heterotrophs. Heterotrophic nutrition, as I said before, the organisms depend directly or indirectly on other organisms, that means autotrophs, for their food, and this kind of nutrition is known as heterotrophic nutrition, and those organisms are called heterotrophs. So when they depend on other animals, the energy is stored as the carbon molecules. They are complex molecules. They need to break down into its simplest form, then only can be used by the other organism. And this conversion or breaking down of these complex molecules into simpler is carried out with the help of biological catalyst called enzymes. So we have discussed what is life process in an organism, what is its necessity, and how does it take place in various organisms, and the one of the life process, that is nutrition, and kinds of nutrition, that is autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition, and the process of photosynthesis. Revise these points and go through the textbook, revise. I hope you will understand it better. Thank you.